Today is March 11th, 2015, and this is Bryan's second book reading. So take it away, Bryan.
All right, well, my mom certainly gave me a nice little introduction there. This is my first novel, Search for Truth, The Seeker Begins. I plan to do 6 more books with these characters. It's going to be the start of a series. I'm almost done writing the next one, which I'm really excited about. I don't know, just something I'm really passionate about. Deals with a lot of the things I think about, but also, you know, just something I think that's relatable, kind of a synchronistic journey that, you know, whatever side you find yourself on, you could probably find something to grab onto in it. So, I guess we should take it away. So, in the first section I'm going to read from, Jason, who's my main character, he just got offered a job in New York during a phone call out of the blue. So here we go. If there ever was a time for Jason and Christina to have a deep conversation about the root of their relationship, this was the time. Do you think I should have the chance to advance my dreams and bring into reality all the things I know are possible? Jason said with an edge in his voice, as if he were trying to test Christina. Well, of course you should have the chance. I can't believe you'd even ask me that. Like you're asking me if you want me to succeed. So you want to know if I think you deserve it? Of course you do. Jason, I love you. No matter what, I'm always here for you. Christina said in a very supportive and loving voice. So you going to tell me who Marty is and what he wanted? He works with Democratic Republic magazine in New York and wanted to offer me a job, Jason said very anxiously. That's great. Definitely something to go after, but why did he call all of a sudden? Why didn't we have any warning something like this was coming? No clue. Marty called because they had been talking about the water park story around the newsroom and wanted to speak with the no-name reporter who broke the story. He said because I had special witness testimony and covered a conspiracy complete with payoffs and illegal workers, he wanted me to work for them. Apparently, nobody anywhere is able to get the quality interviews that I did. Little old me, working for a cheap nothing paper, got a bigger scoop than the bigwigs with all their fancy equipment, foreign bureaus, research, and assumed best education money could buy. Jason outscooped the big boys. Then they dropped the story because their corporate overlords wouldn't let them spell out the truth. Jason and Christina walked over to sit at the table. Both of them were pretty long-winded when they were passionate about something. So what would you like to do? Christina asked Jason, genuinely wanting to know the answer. I want to take it, of course. This is the opportunity of a lifetime. They offered me lots of money, a corner office, creative and editorial autonomy, basically everything a reporter dreams of. And I can do any stories I want, Jason said excitedly. The only thing is they want me to move to New York and work out of the main office. Christina was having a hard time finding the words to accurately portray what she wanted to say. New York, huh? That's a long way from here. You know I'm locked into working for Shane Corps, right? You might say I'm working my way up in the field that is my passion. If I want to be a forensic scientist, I have to pay my dues, and the company I work for is the way to do that. I know you can't leave. In fact, you shouldn't for all the reasons you just stated. That's what makes this decision so difficult. On one hand, I could take a job that is a surefire gateway into the halls of power. I'll be able to uncover truths that hold us as a society back. On the other hand, I could stay with the only woman I've ever truly loved and continue to work for a small paper, discovering truth in whatever way I could, Jason said as if he just unloaded something that weighed on his mind for years, which really had been only the couple minutes since he hung up the phone. Christina sat in her chair and leaned back. Then she got up for a glass of water as she became extremely parched all of a sudden. I think you have to go after your dream. I'd never forgive myself if you stayed, Christina said as tears welled up in her eyes. She filled a glass with water from the sink and took a big gulp before she spoke again. You're the only man I've ever truly loved. You've taught me so much in the short time we've been together. You've supported me through all my trials and tribulations, and the fact you were completely and utterly behind me when I took the Shane Corps lab job showed you honestly care what happens to me in my life. Christina took another gulp of water before setting her cup by the sink and sitting back down. The sun was starting to pour in the window now, which was one of the things she and Jason always loved about their place. Especially now they could use all the warming energy they could get. I love you, Christina. I love the fact you're a truth seeker just like me, but from a different angle. I love that you go after what's swept under the rug because you genuinely care. and truly want to make the world a better place for all its present and future inhabitants, Jason said with a glow in his eyes, thinking about the beautiful woman sitting in front of him. I know you do, which is why you have to take this job. Let me prove the love that has kept us together. We both care about what happens to the planet. Our love for each other is designed and built on the idea that we help each other grow and achieve much more in the furtherance of collective evolution than we ever could by ourselves. So, the next section I'm going to read from, this is going to be Jason's first day on the job in New York, and he's in a morning meeting with his new boss, Marty. If Jason was ever interested in taking down the powerful, the people who beat the system, or in some cases built the system so they could beat it, then now was the time. Was he ready to do it instead of endlessly dreaming about it? Could he take the next step that would advance him towards what he wanted to accomplish, big picture? You ever heard of the people in Congress that do insider trading, said Marty, trying to test Jason's knowledge, but also testing the waters for the story he was going to pitch? Yeah, I've heard of them. It's pretty much called all of Congress. Let's not forget the Senate, too. Judges, lawyers, everyone in Washington seems to be worked by their own set of rules, Jason said as he felt his energy grow. That's for sure. They all do stuff that would send me or you to jail in a heartbeat. If the person with all the gold writes down the rules, then the person who makes the gold available is the one who creates the rules, said Marty, feeling like he was getting on one of his soapboxes. What's your point? Jason said, very eager to see what Marty was building to. I got wind of a new scam that some Congress people are pulling. They take information that gets disseminated and make as much money off it as they can. That doesn't sound new to me. They do that all the time, probably every day of the week. Right. But the difference this time is what they're doing with the information. Okay, so what are they doing with it? They're taking and making a lot of money off of it, of course. Then when no more can be squeezed out without people catching wind, they start these shell companies. Well, not really shell companies in the usual sense of being a front for the CIA or something, no. This shell company is just a means of creating information. That way they get the inside information from the inside, cranking it out like their own personal ATM. Jason sat there for a minute just trying to absorb before he spoke. That's crazy, but not totally unexpected. Greed knows no boundaries. So is this something they all do, or is this leading towards one individual you might have the opportunity to go after because you figured out their weak spot? This is just stuff I've noticed for a while. After the market crash and all the crazy radicals made their way into the Capitol, the gloves are off. What do you mean the gloves are off? I mean the rule books is being thrown out the window and new plans are being explored. Jason took a deep breath as Marty continued. I've hit up some of my best sources, and as expected, this is something that's always happening. Except now, corrupt politicians want to do things out in the open because their egos have grown so big. To do it on the grand scale they want, they have to expand their reach. But with everybody having a camera in their pocket and the internet being everywhere, they had to rephrase it. So instead of calling it insider information, they call it tips they found because they did their homework. Instead of stealing information, they are gaining ground on their enemy that wants the entire system to fail. Instead of stealing what would land any person in federal prison for many years, they say they're only being smart about where the world is going and don't want the money to fall into the wrong hands. So it's a classic example of doublespeak, them saying one thing and doing another. Jason looked up at Marty and saw that he was nodding in agreement. They really are making this world a little more like 1984 every day, huh? Certainly seems like it, Marty said with fright about where the world was headed, but excitement that the young, intelligent, and passionate young man sitting across from him was getting what he was throwing down. So I guess I'll ask again, what do you want me to do with this? I want to see what you can dig up. Now is the time to test your journalistic skills and see what you can discover. I know you're new to the city, and it can take a while to build up trustworthy contacts, but I want to see what you can do. That water park story was one thing, but we're talking about corruption on a global scale that will bleed this planet dry. I'm up for that. Sounds like quite the challenge. I've been waiting my whole life for an opportunity like this to take somebody down that deserved it. Thank you. I will not let you down. I know you won't, because that's the kind of person you are. Just keep me updated on what you find and when you think you have material to print. We'll give you as much time as you need, but we also want to make sure this isn't going on forever without you finding anything. Just keep me in the loop. I will, Marty, thanks. And thank you for everything. the limo from the airport, a place to live which is amazing and better than I ever imagined, and this job. This is what I've dreamed of since I was little. So again, thank you. So, the next section I'm going to read from. Jason and his new partner Bryan have traced this insider trading idea to an anti-immigrant rally and are now conducting an interview. Hey, I'm Jason, and I'm here reporting so more people hear about the cause and what they can do about it. I was wondering if you'd like to make any comments, Jason said to the clean-cut man behind him who's wearing a suit despite dirty tennis shoes. Yeah, I'm here because immigration has gotten out of control. This place will just let anybody in and say, hey, come here and live, take our benefits, use our schools and our hospitals, drive on our roads, but don't pay any taxes or vote in our elections or even have decent American traditions. They don't know what it's like to make a real and honest living. They don't know what a hard day of work is like, said the man aching to express himself. Bryan looked at Jason like, here we go. He knew Jason would go off on this guy about how strong his opinions were when they were talking amongst themselves in the office in the car. He was worried Jason would mess the whole thing up and they'd have to go back to square one. This was Jason's first real test as a reporter, to see if he could handle people in a professional manner to get at the heart of an issue, and the real reason he would even think of coming to a rally like this in the first place. Is there a way we could fix this problem? Something we could do to teach them the American way of life, Jason said, leading the man on. He felt the secret to taking right-wingers down in verbal combat was just letting them talk. They would eventually say something to disprove the point they just made. Basically the conversational version of set it and forget it. We could build a wall with gun turrets and a moat along the whole length of the border. We could even plant landmines, but none of that would work. They would just find some other way in. We have to stop them. We have to throw out politicians that don't want to push any meaningful security measures through. They're the lousy pinko commies that want to let anybody in with no rules and let it be a free-for-all. You think crime is bad now? Just wait and see what happens if we keep sitting on our hands. See what happens if we keep having politicians say they want to stop illegal immigration, but then turn around and do nothing. They are the real problem. They are the people we need to get rid of. Why do Congress people say illegals are a bad thing, then when they have a chance to do something about it, they don't? What are they hiding, and why and where are they hiding it? Jason thought it was mighty interesting somebody on the complete opposite end of the political spectrum as him could probably agree with him a lot more than he thought. It's amazing what can be seen when you get to the root of what's actually wrong. This guy wants to take a politician down because he isn't tough on immigration when he says he will be. Jason wants to take the guy down because he supports illegal immigration when it keeps his fields and factories filled with cheap labor and makes him more money. Not to mention insider trade with the information of where people are and the best way to hide them and put them to work. They might come from two different places and might think of the perfect world as two different locations, but on this, they might come together. Was this the key to the whole thing? Could people come together when they see their end goals are basically the same by virtue of being human? Could they see that what they want is the same and what they think they want is fogged over their critical thinking skills? Well, thank you for your thoughts, sir, and I agree something has to be done about senators and congressmen who say one thing and do another. It's poisoning the whole political landscape. The more people like you that ask questions and get to the root of what nobody wants to talk about, the better off we'll all be. See you in there, said Jason as he waved at the guy who waved back and then disappeared into the building. So the last section I'm going to read from here is Jason and Bryan have met up after the rally with Jason's old friend Aaron, who happened to be speaking there, and now they're all having drinks at the bar. I think this lady is keeping me here for some reason. I don't know why, I feel like something is going on. Remember me talking about that congressman at the rally and how he told me that guy he turned down? Said Aaron, knowing how vague it sounded, so he tried to clear himself up immediately. Just as Aaron was about to open his mouth, a hand tapped him on the shoulder, making him jump out of his pants like something out of a Dr. Seuss story. Fancy seeing you here, Aaron. This isn't your usual watering hole, is it? Mind if I sit? Asked the confident man in a dark suit as he sat down like he owned the place, making all the guys uncomfortable but intrigued at the same time. I know you from somewhere, don't I? "How would you know this isn't my usual place for a drink?" asked Aaron, wondering if the guy had been following him or was just a jerk. "Come on, man. You can't be that drunk already," said the man as he looked right at Jason with an evil eye that inferred this chance meeting was no chance. "I know who you are now. You're that guy at the rally that was going to speak after me. You're that Congressman Mark Rydell," said Aaron as he cautiously put out his hand to see if the congressman would shake it. "Yes, I am. Sorry you got thrown out. I told him they shouldn't have done that. You never know who he's going to run to for help," the congressman said as he continued to glare at Jason like he was going to choke him with the Jedi mind meld. "Yeah, what was that about? I thought you and I were on the same page. We both wanted to make change, or is it something else? Do you have other interests?" Aaron said to Rydell, yearning for a path to the truth. "Well, it's true that we should stop all illegals from coming here. We are a country of laws, and we have to abide by them or we're left with chaos. We can't just go around and doing and saying whatever we want. It could hurt somebody and make them look bad to the people they've worked for." "I couldn't imagine what that feels like," said Rydell, whose face was getting red with the anger building inside him towards Jason. "What's your point, man? And why are you staring at Jason like you want to ice screw him to death?" said Aaron, trying to regain his confidence in manhood that floated away when Rydell sat down at the table. "My point is that I don't like interrupting my busy schedule to talk to little pissants like you about what they should and shouldn't be doing. I have so much more important stuff to deal with than sit here and talk to you in this pit. Stop poking a hornet's nest. You never know what you'll find. You'll never discover what you're looking for because we're so much bigger than you and have all the power and influence. What do you have, some cheap beer and whiskey? Please," said Rydell, who was getting angrier the longer he sat at the table. "So you were the one that had me thrown out? You want to beat me up right here? You tough enough to get into an old-fashioned bar fight? Don't come in here and threaten me. Nobody threatens me. I'd love to knock you down a peg, take you off that high horse you're sitting on," said Aaron as his own anger was building. "You think I've made it this far in the game without being able to handle someone like you?" said Rydell as his anger disappeared and the unyielding coolness he walked in with returned. "All I'm saying is watch your back. Whenever you're walking down the street and feel a breeze, think about me nipping at your heels. Think about me knocking you down a few pegs from the lowly place you're already at. I should actually thank you for working so hard and making me so much money. All my friends and I have had exotic vacations and truckloads of cash bestowed upon us because people like you have to provide for your families. You'll put up with whatever crap pay or working conditions we put you through. Just keep working, worker bee. You can't do anything. You can't risk your own survival to enter this fight. You'll lose, and you know it. Come at us if you want, but only if you feel like leaving this earth. Just remember, there's a lot easier ways to kill yourself." Rydell didn't take his eyes off of Jason the whole time he was sitting there, and after he felt he made his point, he got up and walked away. "See y'all, and don't forget to vote in November." So that is the first few sections. I would have picked another section to read through in the book, but I would have felt like I was giving too much of the story away. So any questions or comments or anything?
We just walked in, the unyielding coolness caught my ear.
Yeah. I've been trying to get better with I always like using metaphors when I can.
Yeah, no, your word, I don't want to say word play, but your word usage is really catching.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yes, the editing process, it takes, getting better at it each time, making stuff make sense. Yeah. I mean, from the initial rough draft to the final copy, and I probably hacked 40 or 45 pages off it, 25,000 words, and it's interesting, even the writing process, because I'm almost done writing the sequel to this, at least the rough draft of it, and it's interesting because I feel like I'm actually excited about the writing process for the first time, which is interesting considering it's my 5th book. It took me 5 books to finally feel excited about my writing. It's weird, but that was just almost something I had to prove to myself. So, But no, I'm happy. I think it's something that just a lot of people can relate to, whatever side you find yourself on. There's human emotions and there's human things that a lot of us can relate to. Basically, I feel like there's, we could take somebody on complete opposite ends of the spectrum. I think pretty much everybody can pretty much agree on about 90% of stuff. But there's about this 10% of things. There's 10% of things that people get caught up on and everything, and they say, oh well, since we can't agree on this 10% of things, we can't get to this whole 90% that we agree on. So I'd say my ending goal, but what I'd like to try to do, or like to think I do when I can, is flip that conversation. So all of us start in this whole huge area that we agree on, this whole 90% of being human, and then once we are used to talking to each other again, and maybe we have a chance at some of that other, those other hard fought kind of generational issues, but it feels good. It feels good just talking to people. I love talking to people, and that's the whole key, starting conversations.
Your conversations in the book are easy to follow, and not just because you're reading them, but when I was reading them.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, the way that it is simple writing, but it's also very easy and friendly.
Thank you. I was almost worried about putting too much dialogue in there, because I know there's some books that don't have enough, and then other ones.
There's some that are endless, and it's nature that it's just like, you could have put this out, but this is necessary. It's necessary.
Yeah.
It just seem important to the story.
Yeah, and I don't know. I mean, I know there's certain descriptions that could probably be a little deeper. I could give a little more backstory about certain characters, but I also was real wary of, not that, I'm comparing myself to Hemingway in any way, but I didn't want to write a book where I spend 30 pages describing a bug on a grain of wood in a boat, Yeah, Hemingway is good, but, I think, Yeah, a little bit. So, finding that balance basically in the middle somewhere. So is a little, yes.
I appreciated that too. What you're saying at the beginning, the couple, the two characters did maybe in the book you give more depth, but just in the little bit that you read, immediately their integrity showed through, and the depth of their relationship, and you just care for these people and you're rooting for them. And so I'm sorry to get distracted a little.
It's okay.
I missed a little bit towards the end and the conversation they were having, but what I got was really intrigued to find out what was going on there. And I've got to read the book to find out, what was happening there and how. I just felt like I missed some of what was happening, so those people were really intriguing too.
Yes, and I was going to say the whole prologue or forward or intro or whatever word I used to describe that section in the beginning of the book kind of lays the groundwork, shows how they met, and I know in this book one thing that I thought was, was good, but I spend, a good portion of the book setting up their relationship, setting up the backstory of them before he goes to New York. And some of the comments that I've heard have said that I spend, kind of almost half the book, it doesn't really get about 12 or 13 chapters in until it really gets into the meat of the actual conspiracy, kind of the main story or whatever. So, which is what's fun about writing the second book, because I can jump right into it. But I think it was definitely important, and some of it was just, probably need to get something out.
So just lay the groundwork for your books coming.
Yeah.
To lay a really solid foundation to take it to.
Yeah. And you'll see it by the end. You leave it open.
Yeah.
And then that's what the fun part is about writing the next one, is tying everything back in. And then really keeping notes after the second or third one, because by the time I get to the fourth or fifth book, everything's going back and forth. It's going to be hard to keep track of.
Yeah, did you have to have a whiteboard?
Yeah.
To connect all your dots and connect the characters and line them up?
What I did was I basically I went through the book because I don't usually spend too much time on an outline, only because I feel like, if I spend all my time doing that and then writing that and all that, I need to spend that time actually doing the writing, because then I can always go back. But as far as that, I went through the book, basically took short little notes on every major thing that happened, if it was an event or if somebody mentioned this character likes to go here, or this one likes to eat sandwiches, or whatever, just something that was notable. And that way when I'm going to edit the next one, I can look back at it and kind of use that. Yeah. So when I'm looking to connect stuff. But that was definitely one thing I was worried about that seemed like it would be difficult. So, but yeah, I mean, it's I've wanted to do this for a long time. I feel like, like my mom was saying, is, my goal when I turn 30, put out the book. I feel so passionate about the story, the characters, what I'm going, the direction, and it's interesting because it's really slow. The progress obviously is really slow. The average person can't win a Pulitzer Prize overnight. But I have to feel good about that I'm moving in the right direction. About 50 copies sold, some ebooks, the Facebook page is getting a few more hits every day, so that's something. The videos, the pictures, And then, hey, maybe once I, do 3 or 4 more readings, Northtown Books will actually let me do a reading there. But, no, I would love to do there just because I've seen many famous authors speak there, and it would be cool to, do something there as well. So.
I have a question.
Yes.
When you're preparing for your book, do you write down notes, or do you sit at do you write by hand or sit at a computer, or do you have ideas that you scribble and then formulate into a larger,
the first couple books I did originally write it by hand, and then once you get that rough draft, then you spend the time typing it up, and then once you spend the time typing it up, then you go back through and start editing. So what I did this time is I really like handwriting, but I noticed that if I just started on my laptop, it cut out a whole step, and it made just the editing process a lot quicker. So then I read through it, and then plus once I have a novel length, I try to only print out a couple of the copies, because I do a couple of the drafts just on the computer. Because printing 300 and some pages isn't always cheap, and the ink and everything. But yeah, so how I've done this is just start do the whole rough draft on the computer. That'll be the rough draft. Then, but when I write, I don't interrupt my flow. I don't stop. I don't care if I badly misspell a word, if something's badly out of place. And it's very obvious. I don't stop. I just keep going because I know there'll be always time to fix that later. And that's what's helped me finish it, I think.
It's like you're channeling it.
Yeah. It's like complete stream of consciousness. That's why a lot of times after I write for a few hours, I have to go do something to cool down or calm down, because the energy in my head is so built up that But
do you step back from it for a day or two and then come back and read it to kind of see?
Oh yeah. I mean, when I finish the rough draft, I'll let it sit for a week. And working a 40-hour week job, work the hotel, Best Western and everything, still over there. Got 7 years. It's been time flies, but it's steady, But so I don't have a full opportunity every day to read it anyway, so it's almost built into my schedule to do that. But normally, I would. It's important to do it fresh, because I realize sometimes I don't want to power through and get it all done, but the fresher I look at it, the more my mind can work and thoughts can kind of come through. And so it's good. And
what's the next step, if you don't mind me asking? When you think it's done, then you find a publisher, or you find a...
Well, that's how it had to be for a long time. who I published this book through Lulu. It's like Hulu but with an L. It's basically a self-publishing company. Now Amazon has a company that does that too called Create Space, but the difference there is they take a lot bigger chunk of your money. I mean, an extra 40%, just about, and they don't really do any extra advertising for you. Yeah, it shows up in Amazon, it shows up on their website, but it would do that anyway, so it's not really a thing. So it's a great deal. The percentages work out great. Basically you just provide the files. They have templates for covers and everything. It makes it real easy. 10 years ago, you'd never been able to do that. You'd have to shop around for an agent, and then hopefully an agent takes you seriously, and then you could go to the publisher. Because a publisher, if a person just went right to the publisher, they'd never read it because they'd get, I guess it's the same reason I wish that, Oprah's book club would take submissions, but then I think about it for a minute going, if she did, she'd probably get millions from all over the world, So, I mean, she's turned, unknown authors into bestsellers overnight, but...
But it's affordable. Anybody who really wants to write a book or a poems or put their photographs in a book, it's $100 for the ISBN number.
Yeah, which is like the federal number. You have to have it
So that's all that, and then it's a couple $100 more, basically. And if he wanted to order 3 books, he could order 3 books.
And that's the biggest thing. There's no stockpile of books sitting anywhere, so it keeps the price down. I could order 5 copies now. I could order 5 copies 10 years from now, and it would be fine. It just prints when it sells. So even if someone orders it off Amazon,